It's the third round of the Ferrari Challenge North America. We're in Georgia and Atlanta. A remarkable city, as you can see, with some of the highlights here that we can bring you from the city of Atlanta. Made even greater when Ferrari were in town, I'm tempted to say, and we've headed to Road Atlanta then. The very challenging circuit for the third round of our Ferrari Challenge for 2023. 12 turns, 5 of them left, 7 of them are right-handers at this iconic circuit, which held its first race back in 1970. And that's where our racing will take place this weekend. Our Trofeo Pirelli cars are going to be on track very, very soon for their first race of the weekend under somewhat overcast skies, but it's dry. We'll bring you the full weather insofar as we know it in just a few moments' time. Welcome to Road Atlanta. Welcome to Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli, their race one across the course of this weekend. We have a mix of Pirelli and Pirelli&AM drivers that will contest this race, of course. As I mentioned, it is our third round in our 2023 calendar. From here, we head off to Montreal in Canada, then Sonoma, then Road America. Then all roads lead to Italy and Mugello and the Finale Mondiale event right at the end of October. Follow us on @Ferrari Races. Please, part of our social media. We would love you to be part of it. And this is precisely where Road Atlanta is situated then in this USA. And what a fantastic place it is, and a track that the drivers really love because it tests them. And we'll find out a bit more about the track in due course. But we can take a look at it right now. And as I mentioned, it's 12 turns, 5 left, 7 right-handers as you wailed your way through the S's there. What you don't necessarily get from our track animation is the up and down nature of this track, the elevation changes, which are fairly significant here, particularly through turns 11 and 12 when you're running downhill into the start-finish straight. That double sequence of right-handers where you really have to hold on to the car because it could so easy invite you into the curbs and the grass that are on the outside of turn number 12. So the air temperature is about 25 degrees, track temperature 29 degrees. 5 kilometers per hour of wind, a little bit of cloud cover, but thankfully it's dry as a bone. Let's go down to the pit lane tarmac right now, and Shay Adam, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dave, and we are under a minute from needing to give the command. But before we get to that, let's tell you where our favorites are going to line up. On pole position for the first time and coming off of his first podium, Dylan Medler for the collection. A great effort in qualifying, secured him the P1 position. But outside of him is our championship leader, Matt Krzyzewski. Matt coming off of a very strong run of form, looking to keep that going. Road 2 is going to be difficult as well, though, because that's where we find 2.0, Musial the second, if you will. He is looking for his first win of the season, and alongside him, well, the defending champion in the Trofeo Pirelli class, Jeremy Clark. Jeremy did not have a great result at Circuit of the Americas. No better place than to bounce back here at Road Atlanta, but very few drivers in our field have experience around this track. Only 3 of them racing in this race, as a matter of fact, raced with us back in 2020. So, at the risk of letting them all enjoy Road Atlanta, drivers, start your Ferrari engines.
There's no risk. 2.0, Dave Musial Jr., going to be one to watch. Jeremy Clark, one to watch. Also one to watch, Jason McCarthy, who is racing this weekend, having been pretty poorly during the week. Well, soon, Jason is still in the car, but he's not feeling 100%, it has to be said. So Dylan Medler, then, he is the guy that put it on pole position for Trofeo Pirelli, for Trofeo Pirelli&AM. It's Justin Rothberg. We're on board with Jeremy Clark here, then, as Shay was saying, the 2022 Trofeo Pirelli champion, and well, he will be hoping for good things potentially from there. We'll see what he can deliver. On board the Brian Cook car right now, and Brian Cook then perhaps qualifying further down the order than he would like. It's P8 in classes P15 overall for the Ferrari of Seattle driver. The cars lined up, as you can see, behind the Richard Mille safety car, which will lead the cars away on the formation lap, and as if by magic the sun does come out now to shine on us here in Trofeo Pirelli and Ferrari Challenge for the first race of the Trofeo Pirelli drivers across the course of this weekend. I remind you that the Trofeo Pirelli drivers have got red sun strips across the top of the windscreen, and our Pirelli&AM drivers have white strips across the top of the windscreen. That's how you can identify the two categories within Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. So the cars then are leaving the pit lane now, and 30 minutes of racing to come from the Ferrari Challenge. As always, it is a rolling start for our Ferrari Challenge cars and drivers, as is tradition. And the car is the 488 Challenge Evo car, a very, very potent racing machine indeed. So the cars slotting into their positions then, as you can see them make their way down the pit lane. We're not far away from the race getting underway. Of course, we will be bringing you the grid in full effect. Who's lined up where from their qualifying sessions earlier on today? Here it is on the first row of the grid. Then Dylan Medler just bested Matt Kurjewski for P1. They go from P1 and P2 respectively. Dave Musial Jr. 2.0. Watch him from P3. Watch Jeremy Clark from P4. They're starting on the second row of the grid and could be danger men from there. Jason McCarthy and Joe Rubo going from P5 and P6 on the grid. And as we go to the fourth row of our Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli grid, we find Custodio Toledo and the best of the AM drivers. Justin Rothberg going from P8. It's P1, of course, within class, but P8 overall. Then it's Tony Davis. Good quali from Tony. He goes from P9. Michael Mathis is alongside, completing row 5. He's going from P10. Omar Balkassoon and John Horsch, they go from P11 and P12. It's completing the 6th row of our Trofeo Pirelli grid. And we go to the 7th row, where we find Michael Porter and Mark Musso. It's P13 and P14 for those drivers. Mark Musso perhaps out of position there. Brian Cook and McCade Wang then going from P15 and P16, completing the 8th row of the grid, before we find Chuck Whittle then going from P17 on the grid. That's how the drivers and cars line up for this 30-minute Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli race. Behind the Richard Mills safety car, towards the conclusion of the lap, they will line up side by side in grid formation, ready to go racing. 30-minute race to come. Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli points, oh so important, of course. And some of the drivers after our race weekend here at Road Atlanta will be heading to Le Mans as the Ferrari Challenge supports the Le Mans 24-hour race. So lots of racing to come between now and the end of the season. But every point banked is a critical and a crucial one. There you can see just an example of my suggesting that the track really does go uphill and down dale, and there you could see a little bit of contact then on the formation lap as someone slowed more than anticipated. And it was the number 3 car of Brian Cook that just clattered in. Right, as the cars make their way down towards turn number 12 now, we split the screen so we can see the start-finish straight, and we can see the start in full effect as the cars get away then. A good start from Matt Kurjewski, a poor start for Dylan Medler, I believe, from what I could see. And taking advantage is Jeremy Clark potentially as well, up to P3, I believe, but Jeremy Clark being attacked on the inside now. So Jeremy Clark might lose out. So as the cars, we've got split screen here, trying to see exactly what's happening. Shay Adam has just joined it. You were looking at a different screen. What did you see, Shay, that I didn't?
I saw a car spinning, and it was McCade Wang. I was going to say it was blue, so it was either the 5 or the 98, but it was indeed McCade Wang being turned sideways.
Mark Musso got a tap there. Forgive me interrupting you, Shay. I just saw him reach that tap, and unfortunately with that car beached, you know what that's going to mean. It's going to mean that the safety car is going to be called for before even one lap is completed of this Trofeo Pirelli race. Wow. Well, what a start it was. There was so much going on, and as we split the screen, we have lots and lots of footage available to us up here in our commentary studio. We're able to look at everything, and there was so much going on, and we do have the full course yellow safety car has been called for. No surprise there, because that Mark Musso car is stricken out there on the gravel. There is no way that's getting out of there without some form of bulldozer, I would suggest, because that's right royally stuck in the gravel there. I was only saying that Mark Musso were out of position in qualifying, and it's gone from bad to worse for him.
Well, off the start, it was a brilliant start by Jason McCarthy. I heard you talking about him a little bit earlier on. He clearly is feeling 100% because that was brilliant brilliant. He's up in the third position. It was a little bit too wide for McCade Wang. He clearly wasn't listening to us in the last broadcast when I said you can't go too wide through turn 1. He decided to try it, and it didn't work. For Mark Musso, was that contact with Michael Porter? It was very odd, and as you said, buried deep in the gravel.
It looked like, to me, having seen that in replay now, I'm wondering whether he just lost the back end of the car, or whether there was contact just before then to cause that to become loose.
It is part of the circuit where you are on a roller coaster. In fact, you can lose various parts of it just through weightlessness. It's not bad driving by any sense of the word, and it can happen to any driver on any lap.
Wow. Well, of course, the start for Matt Kojewski, who was able to take advantage. Dylan Medler just didn't seem to get it right, in my opinion, Shay.
Well, first time.
Yeah,
first time on pole.
Yeah, of course.
First time ever seeing
point.
the green flag for the first time.
Yeah.
Not just Ferrari Challenge, but in general. So, brand new experience for Dylan Medler. He's a student at the University of Miami, so he's learning.
Yes, and he's learned a lesson today at the start of that race, and Matt Kojewski didn't need 2 invitations, did he? That's for sure. There is the Dylan Medler car being followed by Jason McCarthy and then Jeremy Clark and Dave Musial Jr., who went backwards as well, and Custodio Toledo. Joe Rubo losing out to Tony Davis and Justin Rothberg as well. And Justin Rothberg, another one with a poor start relative in class.
And Justin, again, another one who's not used to starting on pole. And Tony Davis taking full advantage. Tony, champion last year, let's not forget, in Copa Shell AM.
I mean, he has vaulted the categories, hasn't he?
Exactly. There's a difference between taking the stairs and taking the elevator and taking a catapult. And I think he took the last of those up to the top. This caution, though, great news for McCade Wang, who's able to catch back up with the pack after that spin through turn 1. So that benefits the Ferrari Vancouver driver.
Well, we will see then how long it takes to recover that car of Mark Musso buried into the gravel trap, and the gravel trap doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's taking the speed out of the car and bringing the car to a stop, and that's precisely what it has done. But it's like a boat that's gone adrift, to be honest.
Do you know, I've been watching a lot of videos on YouTube from this one gentleman who does Matt's off-road recovery. He uses a tow strap to get vehicles out of all kinds of unjust situations. I think Mark Musso might be auditioning for that, because they just had the tow hook utilized on the front of that Ferrari. We're looking at that thinking, oh, you're going to need a snatch tractor of some kind to try and get it out from all of that gravel. No, the track services at Road Atlanta saying, we can do it.
Well, I'm sure they will. Matt Kojewski leading then. He is in a P1 before one lap is completed. But talking of laps and talking of laps being completed, no one better than Matt Kojewski to give us a hot lap of this Road Atlanta circuit.
Hi, I'm Matt Krzyzewski, driver of the number 21 Ferrari Challenge 488 Evo for Scuderia Corse and Ferrari of Beverly Hills. And I'm going to take you for a lap around Road Atlanta. Crossing the start-finish line, going into turn 1, high-speed, rolling speed corner. Downshift to 4th gear, carry as much rolling speed as possible up the hill. Into 2 and 3, where you'll have a quick brake, hard right. Back to the accelerator as quickly as possible to carry as much speed into the S's, a very fast and free-flowing part of the track where you can either make up or lose a lot of speed. Turn 5, carefully drive over the exit curve down the straightaway to turn 6, where you'll have a hard braking zone with a quick brake release for a short drive to turn 7. Exiting turn 7, get the wheel open as quickly as possible, drive to the exit curb, and take the very long straightaway to turns 12A and B. At the end of this straightaway, we'll carry roughly nearly 170 miles an hour into turn 12A. Braking point, the 300 board. Very hard brake, quick release, and carry as much rolling speed from 12A to 12B, or you'll drive up and over the hill, under the bridge, applying to drive down into the final corner of 12, back to the start-finish line. And that is the lap at Road Atlanta.
Well, the Mark Musso car is out, and it is very kindly distributing loads of gravel across the track, which is kind of not what's required, but it is out. I have to say, Shay, you and I watching Matt Kojewski take us around at Road Atlanta. If anyone wrings the neck of a 488 Challenge Evo in terms of physicality and driving, he does it.
He does, and the safety car is back in, so he's going to show us once again how it goes as the green flag is out, and Matt Kojewski tries to leap away, but Dylan Medler not letting him run and play on his own, and Jason McCarthy right there as well. Then a tiny bit of a gap back to Jeremy Clark and Dave Musial 2.0.
I have to say, I think Dylan Medler's got the bit between his teeth now. He knows that he wants to get this P1 position back. It's going to be really, really hard to get by Matt Kojewski, that's for sure, but he's going to give it everything he can. And look at this, he's not letting Matt Kojewski escape up the road here. So Dylan Medler, still one to be reckoned with here, and Jason McCarthy trying to keep on terms with them, and so too Jeremy Clark and Dave Musial Jr. to a degree. Tony Davis leading in Trofeo Pirelli&AM from Justin Rothberg, who of course was the pole sitter. He's P2, and they're ahead of Michael Matthews, I should say, in P3, ahead of John Horsch, P4, and then Omar Balkasoon. That's the way it looks at the moment as we go back to racing. We've got 22.5 minutes of racing action still to come, and we will see how it plays out. Now, Jason McCarthy is getting closer to Dylan Medler than Dylan Medler is to Matt Kojewski. The problem that Dylan Medler has got here, Shay, if I may be so bold, is he's hunting and being hunted at the same time.
Yes, you need to look forward and backwards at the same time. That does distract your attention, but the advantage right now goes towards Jason McCarthy, getting a two-car draft, in essence, during that very long back straight. That will boost his speed more than the guys ahead of him, and I'm fully expecting to see a purple lap next to the name of Jason McCarthy this lap by.
Well, let's see if that happens then. And there you can see the Dylan Medler car, and here comes Jason McCarthy right on Dylan Medler's tails. And well, there you can see the evolution between the two of them. But wow, look at this. Jason McCarthy, if he was welded to the back of the Dylan Medler car, he could not be any closer. Takes a look at the inside. He's no overtake going there, but what he's doing is trying to worry Dylan Medler ahead and just psychologically make sure that Dylan Medler's rear view mirror or rear view screen is just full of the Jason McCarthy car behind him. This is the fight that's going on for P2 at the moment. Jeremy Clark trying to join in and make that a something of a three-way party for P2. In the meantime, what of course Matt Kojewski is able to do is escape up the road, Shay.
And set the fastest lap of the race that time around. So Matt Kojewski, giving us the demonstration of how to go quickly around this track, has now done it in purpose as well. So he's gone on to demonstrate how to go quickly. Jeremy Clark rapidly closing in, but 2.0 right there as well. And how about a round of applause? Custodio Toledo driving a T car this weekend, not a car that he is innately familiar with, up to 6th and pulling in that lead battle for 2nd.
Fair play, fair play. Here comes Musial Jr. then 2.0 is going for it here. And Jeremy Clark is wise to it though, and positions the car absolutely perfectly to deny Musial the opportunity. But Dave Musial is certainly harrowing. He is not bestowing to Jeremy Clark the 2022 Trofeo Pirelli champion, that's for sure. He's giving him everything he possibly can. So a brilliant fight going on there. And that is for P4. And here is 2.0 then, who is quicker, a 124.711 versus a 124.961. It's all very well being quicker. You've got to find a way by, and at the moment he has not been able to do that. Equally, Jason McCarthy in his chase on Dylan Medler has not been able to find a way by either. But they're two fascinating battles that are going on here at the same time, Shay.
Musial Sr., if you can hear us, please advise your son to use a little bit less curb at the apex of turn 12, because that really unsettled the car and made me nervous as he was coming through right up behind Jeremy Clark. But it's worked because he's carried the speed around the lap so far, and now he's looking, oh, Jeremy Clark, I can get his draft going down the back stretch.
Yes.
I can have a look at the inside of turn 10. That's what we need to watch for.
The Musial father and son pairing are a formidable combination, not necessarily in racing, but in terms of characters when you speak to them. And 2.0 is perhaps a little bit quiet, but he takes everything in, and he is a wily young driver. And as you can see, he's wilying, if there is such a word, against against Jeremy Clark right now. Clark is really having to drive a little bit defensively here because 2.0 means business. This is very, very exciting to watch. Here they come. Hold on to the cars. Has he taken advice?
Nope. That was a lot of curve. That was a lot of curve. Oh, goodness. Well, 2.0, you said not necessarily to mention formidable in racing, but yes, 2.0 in 2020 was second in the Copichelle-AM class. He went on to win that championship with 3 race victories in the season 2021. And then last year moved up into Trofeo Pirelli&AM. He won that championship too. That's why he's running in Trofeo Pirelli. So it's taken some time for 2.0 to figure out the speed in each of these classes, but he figures it out. And when he does, he just moves up quick.
Yeah, you're right. He's got it. There's Tony Davis then, who is leading in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli&AM, doing a very good job. His margin of about 4/10 to Justin Rothberg, who of course started on pole position, but a great job being done by Tony Davis. Now, what would be great for Tony is to get on terms with Custodio Toledo, get by him, and give himself something of a Trofeo Pirelli cushion between himself and the hard-charging Justin Rothberg, who of course wants to wrestle that P1 position back again, and you can't blame him for that. And also wanting to join in, you can see there is Joe Rubo, who is a Pirelli driver, but he's trying to get back on terms.
He did not have the best of starts, did Joe Rubo, so now trying to fight his way back up through and driving for his coach, who's based in Atlanta, so it's a little bit of extra pride as well to try and represent well.
Well, there you can see that number 28 car chasing down the number 29 car of Justin Rothberg. And here we go again through turn number 12. I have to say, for my money, perhaps tying with the S's, this is the most exciting sequence for me of Road Atlanta. I absolutely love that. Just last night when I pedaled down turn number 12 on my bicycle, tell you, and a bicycle is scary enough, let alone being in a 4-day Challenge Evo. Wow, what a turn that is. Matt Kojeski is leading.
Which color under the bridge did you aim for on your bicycle? Because if you do white, you're on the right track. If you do red or yellow, I think it is, you're going to wind up either too far in or too far out.
Having come up the hill, I was puffing like a steam engine at that point, so I can't tell you what I was looking for. Right, Matt Kojeski, Dylan Medler, Jason McCarthy, P1, 2, and 3.
Matt Kojeski with the fastest lap of the race that time around, but Dylan Medler with his own personal best, so he is not letting the leader run away yet.
Now, Tony Davis has broken away a bit from Justin Rothberg because Rothberg has Joe Rubo really breathing down his neck. So all of a sudden, he's defending. Now, it's not an inner-class battle, but even so, it's for track position. So that's playing into the hands a little bit of Tony Davis, who has been able to get up the road. Right, the gap evolution between Jeremy Clark and Dave Musial Jr. you can see in graphics at the bottom of the screen for you. And again, what Musial is doing here, very, very cleverly, is just making sure the rear-view mirrors of Jeremy Clark's car are full of the Dave Musial Jr. car.
Which is a very daunting livery. Let's not forget his dad, who frequently runs with the Joker on the side of his car. This is a family that knows intimidation is worth a lot, and Ferrari Challenge doesn't permit you to flash the lights.
It's going to go, Shane. No, if it had been a tenth closer, I think he would have dived to the inside line, but discretion the better part of valor, and that's something to be admired through Dave Musial Jr. 2.0, a very, very young, talented driver. He knows when not to take a risk because banking the points is more important than being in the car.
And that's why he's won so many championships.
You're absolutely right. So, at the moment then, Dylan Medler leading something of a privileged existence in P2. Matt Kojeski, well, he's built that lead of, what, 8?
8/10 of a second.
8/10. It's actually coming down. Dylan Medler is going for it now. Do I see purple for Dylan Medler? Okay,
Dylan Medler's found the go-fast juice in the car.
Yes.
He's pushing that button and managing to exact a lot of speed out of the number 15 Ferrari from the collection. And now he's getting the draft down the back straight as well. So Matt Kojeski maybe backing off a little bit at this point in the race, knowing that he can save the tires for one last charge at the end. Or maybe he's just not having it in his car, and all of a sudden Dylan Medler is. Remember when we started the race, it was sunshine and hot. Well, now it's clouded over quite a bit. It could be affecting the handling of the cars.
That's a very good point. It could be tire longevity that Matt is thinking about. It could be all sorts of things, but we watched the Dylan Medler car kick up some dust then on the exit of turn number 12, and here comes the battle that is going on for P4, which is between Jeremy Clark and Dave Musial Jr. at the moment, and there you can see as they run uphill, Musial not as close as he has been on previous laps, but let that not lend you into a false sense of security, because he will pounce once again. We're into the second half of the race now. Last and best lap comparison on screen there for you to look at, and the times between them, well, there is just 6/10 between them in terms of their best laps, so very, very even, as is the case in challenge racing.
And two of our drivers setting their personal best laps that last time around, so there is still more speed in in the track. It's not as if the track is slowing down, or the cars, or the tires. Everything is still there. It's just about the drivers being able to exact it.
Indeed, you're absolutely right. So Tony Davis continuing to lead in Trofeo Pirelli&AM ahead of Justin Rothberg by just under 8 tenths between the two of them.
We talked about Tony Davis with the meteoric rise to fame and running in the Trofeo Pirelli&AM class after running in the Copa Shell AM class last year. He is currently sitting in the lead of the class, potentially looking at his first win in this category.
Here he's going, you see, and what he wants to do here is build this cushion by having another out-of-class car as they get so close. Of course, in Tony Davis's anticipation and efforts to try and do that, he's got Justin Rothberg and Joe Rubo's in that mix as well. All of them are trying to take advantage of this. So Tony is driving like an absolute demon here, isn't he? Trying to put that car between himself and his pursuers. But in so doing, what he can't afford to do is risk the position he's got, Shay.
Exactly. And when you're talking about risking the lead of the class, which is not the lead of the race, but the lead of the class, you don't jeopardize it. He's now driving in his mirrors. Tony, look forward. Don't worry about the cars behind you. And that's what his coach will be saying on the radio. You've got the race lead. You don't need to pass Toledo. He's not slowing you down at all. Just drive your own race.
Yes, you are probably right. However, Tony is a racing driver.
Yes.
And as far as Tony is concerned, the car in front of him is a target that he's got to get by.
But multi-class racing, this is an aspect of it that
of course
he learned last year, and he perfected last year to go on to win the championship.
I have to say, I'm really impressed with Tony's driving, and he is holding on to this lead, and here comes 2.0 once again, and is he going to get to the inside, which would be the outside for the next turn? So disadvantageous unless he can dive to the inside, but no, not close enough to be able to do it. He is harrying. He is really worrying Jeremy Clark ahead of him.
He's got the Jaws theme music playing in his head, doesn't he? Doo-doo, doo-doo. 2.0 realizes that there is an opportunity to move up through the field. He started in that third position. He wants to get back to a podium, but right now, Jeremy Clark, well, that's the first speed bump between him getting a trophy. The second is Jason McCarthy, who he can also see through his windshield very clearly. So 2.0, you can't get a podium, go earn it, buddy.
I have to say, I'm impressed with Jeremy Clark as well. He's keeping his cool, isn't he? He's not being thwarted by the efforts of a junior behind him. We're right on board with Jeremy Clark then, and he is getting ever closer to Jason McCarthy. Jason McCarthy, who I said pre-race, who's not felt brilliantly this week. I have to say, he's doing an incredible job given that. So well done to Jason McCarthy. But Jeremy Clark is getting closer now, and he's breaking away a little bit from Musial. So we will see how this develops over the next 11 minutes, which is what we've got remaining in this Trofeo Pirelli race. The mix of Pirelli and Pirelli&AM drivers. We're watching the battle for what is effectively P3, which is going on between Jason McCarthy, Jeremy Clark, and Dave Musial Jr. As once again the wick is relit by 2.0. As here he comes again.
Jaws music getting ever louder. Dave Musial 2.0 is yours, and Jason McCarthy is falling into the clutches of Jeremy Clark, and Jeremy Clark is more reeling him in than Jason is falling off.
Forgive me, McCade Wang has gone round again.
Oh no. That's the exit of turn 8 down onto the long back straight.
Okay.
That's the hairpin, in effect, if you will. It's a bit wider of a hairpin, but...
Well, good avoidance by, of course, the returning Mark Musso, who we saw in the gravel earlier on, in fact. And now we can see that Tony Davis has been attacked by...
well, Tony Davis and Justin Rothberg...
They both got by Custodio Toledo.
Both, yes.
Which has not played into the Tony Davis hands the way he wanted it to or expected it to, because both of them have gone by Custodio Toledo, who have now, of course, is in strife himself because he's got Joe Rubo, so a competitor in class.
Exactly.
Right up his trumpet now. But now Tony Davis is breaking away a little bit from Justin Rothberg. Justin Rothberg, remind you, started on pole position in class. And there is Tony Davis. There is Justin Rothberg. Someone else has kicked some dust up then as they've hit the curbs there and distributed quite a lot of that sand onto the track as well. So Tony Davis got very nearly 4 tenths over Justin Rothberg. And behind Shay...
Here comes Joe Rubo making the pass of Custodio Toledo. They're side by side coming down the backstretch. Joe is clear of Custodio, but Custodio has the inside line. So depending on who breaks first, let's see, can Joe Rubo hang it out there? Come on, stay there. Nope, he backs out on the brakes, decides that it's not worth denting his car. Custodio Toledo holds on to 6th in class.
Fair play to Joe Rubo. He knew that it probably wasn't going to pay off.
Yep.
And fair play to him for that. So we watch the battles as they continue, and this three-way fight that has been going on for lap after lap after lap has been really, really interesting to watch. It's between Jason McCarthy, Jeremy Clark and Dave Musial Jr. Now the others, you can see they've escaped so far up the road. By others I mean Matt Gojewski and Dylan Medler, the P1 and P2 drivers, because this fight is going on for P3. What this proves is that the moment you get involved in a battle and you're being chased down by other drivers, your race pace goes away, Shay.
It does. P1 is running 24.5, P2 is running 24.5. This battling trio, all three of them are doing 25.6, 25.7. So the pace, 1.1 seconds slower each lap. It doesn't sound like much, but each lap, when they've been battling like this for 10 laps, that's what makes the difference. That's what creates the gap.
Indeed so. Just under 8 minutes of the race remaining then. 2.0 is not giving up on this. He really is not giving up on this, and I have to say he's steadfast in his attack. But to be fair to both Jason McCarthy and Jeremy Clark, they're holding on to it. They're holding on to it nicely. Matt Gojewski has got what? Just about a second over Dylan Medler in the lead, and then in the AMs, as Tony Davis crosses the line, what has he got over Justin Rothberg? We're going to get a live gap now.
About a second.
Okay. So that's the way it looks then for our AM drivers, with Tony Davis leading. And let's go back to this last and best lap comparison between those three that are fighting for P3. Three-way fight for P3 that is going on between Jason McCarthy, Jeremy Clark and Dave Musial, which continues. And I have to say, having watched this battle, I mean, the cars and drivers are so evenly matched in terms of pace, and you know, it's not the easiest of tracks on which to inflict an overtake, that's for sure. And well, fair play to all the drivers. They've kept it, I mean, it's been firm, it's been fraught, but it's been fair. That's the most important thing, and that's what we love about the Ferrari Challenge. We can see a car, I can see from our studio location, diving into the pit lane. Horsch. And that's John Horsch in the number 67 all-black Ferrari Challenge 488. Evo. So here we go now with 2.0 once again, just harrying the car ahead of him. Now, what he would like to do here is to be able to slip underneath and get to the apex quicker, but it has to be said, Jeremy Clark is very wise to that. He positions the car perfectly in the middle of the circuit on the entry to that turn and the exit of that turn, so that denies 2.0 any opportunity to do that. A credit to them all, though, for delivering a great race, and a big thanks to Shay, who's going to have to hot-foot it down to the pit lane now to bring us all the reactions at the end of the race, which is just under 6 minutes away right now. So Jason McCarthy is coming under some pressure now from Jeremy Clark. Jeremy, of course, is having to defend and attack at the same time, and his modus operandi changes from defense to attack right now, and attacking Jason McCarthy for the final podium place in Trofeo Pirelli is what he's all about right now. Meantime, P1 and P2 in Trofeo Pirelli&AM. It's Tony Davis and Justin Rothberg then, and they are really, really driving well. And you can see the dust being kicked up there. And here is Tony Davis then, P1 in Trofeo Pirelli&AM, and there you can see the Justin Rothberg car up. Bear in mind that Justin Rothberg started in pole position. Tony Davis got the lead and has not looked back since. And these two have broken away from the rest of the pack. They're carrying so much speed and such great paces. 2.0 has done it. Has he? He gets certainly alongside, but he's got to get his nose in front here, and he's right on the outside now. So Jeremy Clark was just more than well aware of what Dave Musial was doing there, and he was perfectly fair about it and held on to his line. He knew that line would be advantageous, and it was. Now, is 2.0 close enough to have a go going into turn number 1? No, he is not. So it's intensifying this battle that is going on. It's all playing into the hands a little bit of Jason McCarthy, because the more those two fight behind him, the more he's able to escape up the road. This is brilliant racing that we're enjoying from Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli, and the fight that is on for P4 and P5 between Jeremy Clark and Dave Musial Jr. Dave Musial 2.0 then is really pushing. Here is Tony Davis and Justin Rothberg. Now Justin is realizing that he's running out of time to wrestle back this P1 position, as now Jason McCarthy comes under enormous pressure from Jeremy Clark. Clark knows that to see off the predatory progress of 2.0, he's got to try and get by the Jason McCarthy car. Here comes 2.0 right now, puts himself side by side once again with Jeremy Clark, and this time he has done it. Absolutely awesome overtaking from Dave Musial 2.0 as they run down to the hill now. Dave has done it. It has been lap after lap of trying to make it work, but he's kept cool and he's kept calm, and now he has made it stick. Brilliant stuff. So can he, with 3 minutes remaining, see off Jason McCarthy and maybe get a podium out of this race? That's certainly in his target sights, and you can see how keen he is to get that P3 away from Jason McCarthy. So this is going to run right to the end of the race, I suspect. Absolutely brilliant stuff in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli here in Road Atlanta. So Jason McCarthy all of a sudden is going to have to stick his elbows out from the hard-charging Dave Musial Jr. for Ferrari Lake Forest. And there is Tony Davis, who's also just beginning to feel Justin Rothberg a little bit more than on laps previous, because we are reaching the closing stages of this race. So the expression "it's now or never" becomes to have real provenance. So let's see how it plays out then before the end of this race, which is but 2.5 minutes away. Tony Davis then leading in Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli&AM from Justin Rothberg P2. Then it's Michael Mathis, but Michael has got a couple of Trofeo Pirelli cars between himself and the P1 and P2 place that we can see center shot right now. Tony Davis having made up 3 places. Justin Rothberg, of course, started on pole position. We're talking about the way it's gone in terms of the race overall and progress. So Matt Kwiatkowski, meantime, 2.5 seconds up the road, leading the Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli race. But Tony Davis here is leading in Trofeo Pirelli&AM. And through this remarkable turn, number 12, let's get a live gap between the two of them then. Here comes the clock. It's 2.214. And diving to the inside, almost Justin Rothberg, who is 6/100ths quicker on the last lap than Tony Davis. So they're supremely evenly matched. But of course, Tony Davis is having to focus very much on defending, and therefore he's not able to set the fastest lap time that he would like to be able to do, because he's got to be conscious of where he positions the car to maintain his track position, and his track position is a P1. So Matt Kwiatkowski, Dylan Medler, Jason McCarthy, the 1, 2, 3 for Trofeo Pirelli. For the Pirelli&AMs, it's Tony Davis from Justin Rothberg and Michael Mathis. So just a minute remaining in terms of the race. We're going to get another lap out of this because Matt Kwiatkowski is going to cross the timing line with time still left on the clock. That will mean the start of the final lap, and you can bet your bottom dollar everyone's going to really go for it, including Dave Musial Jr., who, having got past Jeremy Clark after lap after lap after lap of trying, is going to fancy his opportunities now and try and get into a podium paying position. So Matt Kwiatkowski then in car number 21. It has been a textbook drive around the Road Atlanta circuit for him, and he starts the final lap, as do the rest of the drivers who see the waved white flag. Final lap starts then, and it's now or never for Dave Musial 2.0 to try and find a way by Jason McCarthy. So Jason McCarthy then heads up the hill with 2.0 in hot pursuit. And where is Musial going to try and point the car as around goes the number 33 car of Omar Balkasoon. Gets it pointing in the right direction once again, though. No harm done on the final lap of this Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli race. So Omar Balkasoon loses out on a couple of places, but does get the car pointing back in the right direction again. Now, the same applies in terms of trying to be predatory with Justin Rothberg here, who, of course, is trying to unseat and unsettle Tony Davis from the lead of the Trofeo Pirelli&AM race. But Tony Davis has had to put up with this attention for the entire race duration, and thus far has been able to defend his track position and his P1 position. And just running a bit wide there, but holding on to it nicely. Justin Rothberg, that could have been oh so different, but he did hold on to it as the back end of the car got into the sand, and that caused the back end to be very, very loose. Matt Kurjewski heads towards the checkered flag to take the win for Trofeo Pirelli. A brilliant race win from Matt Kurjewski ahead of Dylan Medler, who will take P2, and it's going to be Jason McCarthy that will take P3, despite valiant efforts by Dave Musial Jr. to try and wrestle that P3 away from him. It wasn't to be. Tony Davis will head the lineup for the Trofeo Pirelli&AM drivers. Well done to Tony Davis, a brilliant race win ahead of Justin Rothberg and Michael Mathis, who will take P3 for Trofeo Pirelli&AM. Wow, what a race. There was lots of drama and lots of overtaking in that, and the battles, some of them were awesome to watch. The Ferrari Beverly Hills driver Matt Kurjewski then takes P1 here at Road Atlanta in race 1 for Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. So the rest of the cars have all crossed the line now, and very well done to Tony Davis for Continental Autosports, the race winner for Trofeo Pirelli&AM. And Tony's first win of the season. Tempted to say ain't going to be the last, I would suggest. Tony Davis then a great drive from him. Great drive also from Matt Kurjewski, of course, who adds to his tally of wins. I think, if my memory serves, this will be his 3rd win of the season. Dylan Medler then put up a valiant fight, but of course was usurped right at the start of the race, and that's what did for him. But there we have it. Jobs done and dusted, as it were. Cars will all make their way back to the Parc Fermé area now. And a very, very enjoyable race indeed for Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli, and some impressive drives to have enjoyed, and some impressive defensive driving as well, and where some drivers could have lost their cool, they didn't, and held on to their positions. And they're the number 15 driver of Dylan Medler from the collection, who in the end finished some 2.5 seconds behind our race winner Matt Kurjewski, who we can see driving into the pit lane right now in that number 21 Ferrari Beverly Hills car. So good stuff indeed, and very enjoyable. Another race to come from Trofeo Pirelli tomorrow, of course. Very much looking forward to that, although I am led to believe that the weather conditions for tomorrow's race might be altogether different to today. Make of that what you will, and what impact that will have on the way that the race plays out. We will see. As the car is brought nicely then into Parc Fermé, and Matt Kurjewski will dive out of the car very, very happy indeed. And I spoke to him briefly earlier on today whilst enjoying a cup of tea, and he's always good fun to talk to. And I got to know Matt really rather well when he competed in the Ferrari Challenge Winter Series in the Middle East, in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And yeah, really, really good fun, and good to spend some time with him as well. And all the characters in the Ferrari Challenge are just super people, I have to say. It's one of the most welcoming paddock areas. And he's out of the car then. Not always terribly emotional, I have to say, when he's been successful, but he has done it, and done very well, and it's quite cool and calm about it all. And immediately goes to look at this. This is what I was talking about, the camaraderie in this paddock. Dylan Medler's out of the car. Look, that is just it's absolutely joyful to see. It really is. So yeah, great respect and as I say, camaraderie between the two drivers, handshakes, and that's really nice to see. Really nice. So there we are, the congratulations being meted out. And a good job done. And as Matt is relaying everything he did, look, you can see. Let's take a look at the full classification then. Here they come up on screen for us right now. Matt Kojeski taking the win from Dylan Medler and Jason McCarthy. Dave Musial Jr. and Jeremy Clark, P4 and P5. Now, for Trofeo Pirelli&AM, it was Tony Davis ahead of Justin Rothberg and Michael Mathis and Michael Porter then taking P9 and 10 in the race overall. But, of course, it is P3 and P4 in category. And then the rest of the order that you can see there as well. So that is confirmation of the classification, and a good job done by all our Trofeo Pirelli drivers. Again, quite a dramatic race, and very happy Matt Kojeski is with Shea Adam right now.
Matt, you're making a habit of this winning thing. How does it feel to be a winner at Road Atlanta?
Feels good. Coming here, this place is unlike we've ever been this year. We're in a challenge car. It's a lot of hard work. Dylan, he's really fast. He's getting better each week. So one of these days he'll get his. It was nice to get another one here, though.
There's no shortage of competition for sure. You had to push really hard in today's race. Did it feel gratifying after what happened in the last race?
Yeah, it did. Last race was a real battle for everything we could get. Worked in our way here. Had to work just as hard, but probably not as dramatic. The team's done a great job. My coach, Alessandro Balzan, he couldn't make it this year. This is or this weekend. This is my third coach I've won with this season. So thanks, Conrad. I appreciate it. You're why I'm here. And Alessandro and every other coach I've worked with.
Congrats on another win.
Thank you, Shea.
There we are. He receives the applause, and very gracious there in saying that he owes this to Conrad Grunewald and also Alo Balsan and people that work with him. So coaches, of course, are very important to our drivers, and it's nice that they credit them accordingly. Had lunch, actually, with Conrad Grunewald, and very enjoyable it was, too. Right, here's the Drivers' Championship points for Trofeo Pirelli. Matt Kojeski leading by 12 points over Jason McCarthy. Then it's Roberto Perina missing this weekend. He's dropped down to P3 in the points. It's still a Medler making his way up. Manny Franco also missing this weekend, and Dave Musial 2.0 has jumped 2 places and now finds himself P6. So still lots to play for before the end of the season. And Matt Kojeski, though, is leading it with a 12-point margin at the moment. Those are the Drivers' Championship points in Trofeo Pirelli. We will bring you the championship points in Trofeo Pirelli&AM as well, because we like to make sure we know and you know exactly who is doing what. But it was a brilliant drive this afternoon, in my opinion, from Tony Davis. He's with Shea right now.
It didn't take him too long to figure out how to win in the Trofeo Pirelli&AM class. Now that you've done it, do you think you can do this again? Was this a one-off?
Well, I certainly hope it's not a one-off, but the reality is there's a lot of incredibly talented drivers here. I think in the qualifying, 3 were within 11 one-thousandths of one another. So I think it's an incredibly fantastic group of drivers. I certainly hope to do it again. I've got a great team, a great coach, but it'll be hard. Justin made it super hard. He gave me an unbelievable race and pressure.
Ferrari Challenge at Road Atlanta. That's an additional pressure coming here, racing at this track. What's it like to now consider yourself a race winner?
I mean, Road Atlanta is an old school American course, not a lot of run off, a lot of cement walls. It's high consequence, but it's also a ton of fun if you get it right. So I really love this track. I don't know, I think it's great.
Let's see what you do tomorrow. Congrats on today.
Thank you.
Well done indeed to Tony Davis and his all the smiles. Really enjoyed that. Let's take a look at the Drivers' Championship points then for Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli&AM. It's Tony Davis leading the points on 48. Just 6 ahead of Justin Rothberg. That proves tantalizing for tomorrow. And then it's Mark Musso and Brian Cook, Chuck Whittle, Brad Falver, Dave Musial, who of course is missing from racing at the moment. Get back soon, Dave. Then Michael Porter, Brian Kaminsky, Christopher Cagnazzi. That's the top 10 in terms of the Drivers' Championship points for Trofeo Pirelli&AM. The rest of the order you can see on the screen there, including Michael Mathis, who's moved up 3 places and is on 12 points now. So there we have it. Trofeo Pirelli race done and dusted. Please make sure you join us for the podium celebrations, which will come a little bit later on. But from Shea and from myself, thank you so much for watching Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli.